Radio feed.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Pick Six Podcast. It's your boy Moose, and I got my guy Ty here with me. How you doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. We got a lot to talk about. NFL trade deadline was very interesting to say the least, man. We definitely have some winners and losers from that. We got tonight's football game between the Raiders and the Broncos for Thursday night football. So it's a lot to talk about, but the first thing I want to do before we get into all that is give my condolences to the family of Marshawn Nealon, rookie for the Dallas Cowboys defensive end who passed away today. So I want to send my condolences to his family during this difficult time. But nonetheless, man, we're gonna jump right into it. So we're gonna start off with the trades. It was a crazy deadline. Jacoby Myers was one of the first ones to move. He was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a fourth round and a sixth round pick. And then we had one of the bigger trades of the day, of course, Sauce Gardner going to the Indianapolis Colts. The Jets received 2 first-round picks for that trade as well. But he wasn't the only Jet to be moved. We also had Quinnen Williams getting moved to the Dallas Cowboys in a very, very interesting trade, to say the least, man. But I want to get into the Jets first because with all the moves the Jets made, they kind of set themselves up for the 2027 season in the draft, particularly. Right now, currently, after the trade deadline, they have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. Their own first and second, as well as the Colts' first-round pick, and they have the Dallas second-round pick. And in 2027, they have not only their first-round pick, they also have the Cowboys and the Colts' first-round pick. And we're not even going to mention the cap space as well. Right now, they're eating about $625,000. The following next season is going to be $1.2 million, and then by 2027, they're going to have almost $24 million in cap space. So it's clear that the Jets has positioned themselves for the 2027 draft and moving forward. But what is your thoughts overall on not only the Sauce trade, but the moves the Jets were making overall?
Well, if Arch don't declare this year, he is a New York Jet because that three first round picks in 2027 will definitely get you Arch Manning. Now, as far as at first, I understood the Sauce trade because I had a feeling the defense, like we always talk about every single week, we show praise to this defense, but for some reason, it just like nothing was computing with each other. Nothing made sense, and it's very shocking seeing who the head coach is. That the defense isn't a top 5 defense in the league. So it makes 100% sense because if I have pretty much someone who we kind of at a point of time we made pretty much the most paid corner, and
Right.
the team isn't good, the defense isn't good, we have to get rid of him. We need something else. Now the Quinnen trade, it was an amazing trade for the Cowboys. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
And it actually makes the Micah trade seem more even now, seeing what the Cowboys technically got in return overall. But I didn't like that because now this tells me you're tanking this year and you're tanking next year.
Pretty
So we're
much.
not even focused on next year. Teams can get rid of one cornerstone piece and still, work around it, be back next year and improve. But when you trade literally your two best players on defense, mind you, they're the top three players on the whole team in general. When you trade them, that just tells me, yeah, you're tanking. And I told you on the chat at that point, I would have I would have got another first for Garrett Wilson at that
So
point.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Before we jump, I go into the Garrett Wilson avenue. Just to give the full details on the Quentin Williams trade. The Jets got a 2026 second round pick and a 27 first, as I just mentioned, and they also got the defensive tackle Mozzie Smith, while Cowboys just received Quentin Williams. Also, going back to the Garrett Wilson trade, he was the only person they deemed untouchable. My only issue with with not with the Jets per se, because they was taking anything they can get. They're stockpiling. My issue came with the Chiefs, and the reason why this correlates with the Jets, what we just talked about, was the Chiefs should have just given. I would have gave up a second round pick if it means I can get a player like Brees Hall. Brees Hall tweeted he wanted no parts of New York after Quentin and Sauce was traded, and the Chiefs didn't want to give up a third round pick. All they had to do was give up a third round pick, and Brees Hall would have been a Kansas City Chief. And don't get me wrong, Pacheco and Hunt is serviceable, but they're not getting the job done. I think if you would have got over your pride, who's especially considering the cornerstone play you have on your Kansas City team, and just gave up that third round pick to get Brees Hall, not only does that bolster your run game, it also helps the pass because Brees Hall is really great as in the backfield when it comes to catching the ball. And the Jets was giving them up for basically nothing. A third round pick, especially when you're the Kansas City Chiefs, isn't going to be that much. So I don't know. I was scratching my head about that. But back to the main part, which is the Jets. I just believe they're stockpiling on these picks, which is smart, but they got to hit on these picks, especially at the quarterback position, which we know they haven't hit on that position in a long time. Their best quarterback since Joe Namath is probably Mark Sanchez, probably, or Pennington. So, do you miss? Are you gonna go for Arch in the next couple seasons? Because me personally, if he doesn't develop and Lenore Ellis is still there, or if he comes out this draft, I'll take Norris in this upcoming draft, and I'm gonna get either Jeremiah Smith or Ryan Williams in the next draft for sure. But I'll let you share your thoughts.
Yeah, but the problem with that is you're like you completely said it. They could never hit on a quarterback. So I think to them, I feel like any quarterback coming out of this class that is not Arch, they're probably not going to take a risk on. Because honestly, realistically, if they draft Arch Manning and the Jets are still the Jets, then it's the whole franchise. um, but the problem with it now, you traded those star players on defense. Why would I go take a rookie quarterback next season with a top pick at that to put him in kind of a bad situation? Because free agents, they'll still sign a couple free agents, because they can give the bag to a couple people, but no one's gonna want to go to New York. One, and if I'm Garrett Wilson, why would I even? Why would I still want to be here? One,
Well,
because this is another rebuild for 2 to 3 years. Let's be honest.
now Garrett made some comments today saying he's pretty much has faith and trust in the organization to do right. Now, whether he truly believes that or he's just saying that to be political, only him and God knows. But what I would do is, depending on if he comes out or not, because to be honest, it's not too many quarterbacks this season that can come out that I'm really high on based on their plays. Only like 3 to 4.
Exactly.
But Lenore's, I feel like is a project, especially if he comes out this draft. If I'm going to take Lenore's, I probably can. He might slip a little bit where I could get lucky, where I might not even have to use too much of a too high of a pick, especially with the amount of first rounds I have this draft. I can probably get him. Either way, if I get Lenore's, I'm gonna bet I'm not using him for day one. He's gonna be on the bench for the season, so he can learn the playbook and watch at an NFL pace. I'll go get a vet and bring him in, a Jacoby Brissett, Kirk Cousins. Just not saying those would be the ideal guys, but just throwing names out there and have Lenore sit for the year. As far as Garrett Wilson, I mean, he's gonna have to just understand he's about to go through a Mike Evans phase in a Andre Johnson phase where he gonna have to put up numbers with a bad quarterback. And I don't think Brees Hall's gonna make it past the offseason. I think he's
but Andre Johnson was making the playoffs at least.
Right.
You feel me?
That's also yeah. He also had Arian Foster back there a few seasons too. So, and it was a more complete team. I don't think the Jets is going to be that. Now, who knows? They might hit on a couple of late picks this upcoming draft that can be essential rotation pieces to help bolster up that defense or the offense. We'll see down the line, but I don't know. They have a lot to do. So, my question to you would be: this upcoming draft, what is your first move for that team as someone that's in the draft room?
For who? Like the Jets?
For the Jets. If you are a Jets owner or GM where you're about to make your first pick in the draft, what is your main focus?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So, one, we have to see who's the quarterbacks declaring, right? We have to see who's declaring, and we got to see who we're comfortable with taking, pretty much in the first round, if we want to take a quarterback, because we already know the Saints are taking a quarterback.
How would you feel about? So I got some quarterback names. If you was to go quarterback route, how would you feel about Ty Simpson, Dante Moore as some candidates?
Not on the Jets. I think for the Jets, it's probably, let's be honest, like I said, it's probably between Arch and Sellers, in my opinion. That's why I kind of think you don't go quarterback this year. Now you got to go probably defense. Well, it also depends on what number you're picking. Because if they have the first pick, changes things.
So, and another quarterback is I forgot to mention is Mendoza from Indiana. Those are pretty much the three top quarterbacks as of now.
Yeah, Mendoza's projected to go 1.
So
from
right
what
now,
I've seen, if he's a quarterback to the Saints. So.
Now I'm looking at Pro Football Focus in their mock draft. I'm gonna share my screen and show it. I take this with a grain of salt, but this is their projected mock draft list as of now. And they currently have the Jets at 3, taking Dante Moore. I'm not mad at Dante Moore as a pick. I think Dante Moore early in the college season too was showing flashes of probably being the more complete quarterback. Before, of course, Mendoza and Simpson started getting going, but I love what I've seen from Dante. The few games I did watch for Oregon this year because his processing was really, really good. He has a good arm and he's mobile. You know, in this day and age, the typical mobile quarterback is key. But I think even between all 3 of these quarterbacks that's in the top 4, probably the only one that I would consider starting day 1 for the Jets will be Mendoza. Moore and Simpson, I would rather have them sit, not because they don't have the talent to start day 1. So I don't want to wreck them too early. I think we having a problem where we're throwing these quarterbacks in too quickly. We've seen it with Darnold now, Daniel Jones. I think it's time to kind of sort of let these guys develop. Everybody can't come out these drafts and be a Jaden Daniels, a CJ Stroud. So you got to kind of let these guys develop. So that's kind of where I'm at with the quarterback position. But I want to get back to the defense because you mentioned something really good. How would you feel about if they can potentially get Ruben?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So like, if we don't, if I'm the Jets, I'm not really sold on any of these quarterbacks. Arch isn't coming out. I'm not gonna waste it. I can go pay a vet in the off season for a season or two. You know, doesn't matter really. Um, I would probably go defense, but the problem is, like I said, we just got to see where they pick because if if this is how it ended today, they can't get Ruben because Ruben's not slipping past the Titans. Let's be honest,
Yes,
right? Um, so if they're picking at 3, their best bet's probably to trade back. And they can honestly, I'll go Caleb Downs. Grab
So
some
I
more
was
picks,
thinking
get
about
some
that, but
Get Caleb Downs. Um, they can also go tackle. Like
that's where I was going. I think they should both up the
they
whole
can
line.
do so much. I don't think they will take a quarterback. Um, like I said, depending who's really coming out of this class. Maybe on like the later pick they have, maybe QB if you really want to, but no, I'll probably go tackle in defense or two defensive players in the first round.
Yeah. So I thought Caleb Downs would have been a great potential pick. I just don't think he's a pick to make that high at
No,
3.
that's why I'm saying your best bet would be to trade back,
Yep.
get some more picks, pick like around 9, 10, then get a Caleb Downs.
But the which would be a smart idea. But the reason why, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, I'm thinking probably in this draft, particular offensive line, is because if we be honest, the Jets struggle on both sides of the ball. We know that they're putting up points in these last few games, but they're also playing some terrible teams like the Bengals is one of them. So right now, their rushing offense is kind of below average. They average almost 92 yards a game, which is 31st in the league, and they average 4.3 yards per rush, which is 16th. I believe, even though their second year center is pretty good or decent, I believe they can go tackle. I like Spencer, but if I'm gonna use your thought process and trade back, I'll see what I can get to trade back and maybe even get Francis or even Proctor. I like Proctor from Bama. He's you need to have sometimes you need those nasty tackles that's just dirty. They're physical. They're gonna impose their will on people. And I think Caden Proctor is one of those tackles that I would love to watch. Him and Francis from the few games I did watch with Bama early in the year and with Miami. So those are guys I will look into get into. Because I think we both agree to this, Todd. The Jets got a lot of holes they got to fill. So I think the first thing, especially if you're not high on the quarterback this upcoming draft, is keep bolstering up that offensive line. Till then 27, you can go get the quarterback you want. Or you still might be able to get Jeremiah Smith because Kyler Murray might be available this offseason. Who knows? But real quick, Fernando, what up, man? Appreciate you showing up and joining the show as always.
Yeah, we got to talk about Kyler Murray.
Oh, yeah. Fernando says agreed. Proctor from Alabama is a beast. Yeah, man. Like I like him a lot. And also Quincy, since we're still on this one, I know we spent almost 20 minutes on the Jets. Quincy Williams, Quinian's brother, lost his starting job in the linebacker position for the Jets.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah, it is because he's shown a lot of promise and he was really good, but that this year has been unfortunate.
Like,
I
how do you
will say.
get benched on that defense?
So I'm glad you mentioned it because there is somebody on this board that I like at linebacker. Now, I know we got Arvell here going top 10, and he's phenomenal. But I like Sonny Styles a little bit more. And I think based on how he's using Ohio State, I think with Aaron Glenn and his philosophy on defense for the Jets, I think Sonny will be really, really good in that defensive scheme. Fernando says the Jets crushed it in the draft. They have a bright future if they draft right. Yep. He meant the trade deadline. Yes, they did. They picked up a lot of picks. The cap space is going to be promising. But like you just said, and what we touched on right before you joined, is they got to capitalize on these picks.
Well, we'll even see if Aaron Glenn's the head coach next season,
So
because Woody Johnson's still the owner. Let's not forget. It
yeah,
starts from the ownership. So who's to say they fire Aaron Glenn, hire some coordinator from whoever is gonna look great in the playoffs, like every team always does, just to be back at square one. So
that's true. And I think we touched on this last week where we said we see them tanking and yesterday, a few days ago, the trade proved it. Glenn might not even make it to 2027. And we don't want to make it in a political talk, but we know when it comes to colored black coaches, they have a shorter patience span when it comes to the coaching position. I mean, we've seen a coach who also coached in Arizona, ironically, did a great job as an interim and didn't even get rehired. So there's a lot to be desired when it comes to that. Nonetheless, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, man. We're going to move right along with the trades. I'm going to share my screen again because there's a trade that's up here. I think it's a very underrated trade, and that is the trade with the Seattle Seahawks. Rashad Shaheed is going to the Seattle Seahawks. And I think this is a very, very underrated move by the Seahawks, who is being very, very underrated as far as getting the recognition they deserve because they've been balling this season. I think you add in Shaheed, who's a speedster who could take the top off the defense, to this receiver core of JSN. And I know it was against the Commanders defense, but Horton, I really like his game. He's been showing a lot of flashes throughout the season. And then I like the tight end Barner. I like him. He's solid, especially with the connection he has with Darnold. And then if the run games hit, that's the only issue. And Utah, I'm gonna let you take it away from here because you mentioned this last week when we was talking about Seattle. If that run game is hitting and consistent, especially with K9 in the backfield, it is almost unstoppable to stop this offense because how great they scheme up the passing game off the run game. So I'll let you take it away. Give us your thoughts on the trade and the Seahawks in general this year.
yeah, I mean it's a good trade for the Seahawks, because they're already winning because of their offense. So best thing to do, add more weapons. And Sam Darnold's having a good season, so that makes it even better. Um, yeah, their only issue is that run game. Sometimes the defense can play a little wonky. But I think let me see. Like Seattle this season, honestly, by far my biggest surprise because I didn't expect Sam Darnold to do what he was doing in Minnesota. Um, um, Now that trade makes them a legit contender, and I'll say it. Um, it's gonna be like I said 2 weeks ago. I think it's between them and the Rams for that division alone. And they both have good records, so pretty much they're probably battling for the first seed. So we never know. But I think just overall, Seattle is a sleeper, but we gotta see with Sam Darnold because we know it might look good now, but he's always gonna be Sam Darnold. But I think the running game is what's gonna hurt them because they split the backfield too much, in my opinion. They do it like Detroit, but the problem is Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet is not Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. So you can't do that. I
Right.
understand as a coach, yeah, it's cool, but no. That's going to be the problem because now, let's say the running game isn't getting going. Now I need Sam Darnold to pass it 50 times. And if Sam Darnold's passing it 50 times, that other defense is at least walking away with at least 2 interceptions. If it's a good defense. But yeah.
No, that's a fact. And I'm looking at their stats here. They're towards the bottom half, basically, when it comes to rushing on offense. So, yeah, definitely a lot to leave desired. But with that being said, though, to give the full details of the trade, Shaheed went to the Seahawks. New Orleans got a 2026 fifth and fourth round pick in this upcoming draft. And we're not going to spend time on this because we spent a lot of time on the Jets. But the other part of the deal for the Jets that we talked about a little bit earlier was Sauce going to the Colts. And A.D. Mitchell was also a part of that trade. So he will be going to the Jets as well, who I think is a promising young player, along with the Jets getting 2 first-round picks. So moving on, because there was a lot more moves being made as well. I want to give a huge applause because Jerry actually kept his word, and he made some big moves with those trades. But nonetheless, moving on to another trade that we wasn't really expecting, but Jalen Phillips going to the Eagles. The richer gets richer, man. Phillips is going back with his old DC when he was in Miami. The question is, can he be at least 55 to 60% of what he was before the Achilles injury? Because if he can also write the Eagles back in the Super Bowl, because the only thing that they took a step back defensively, which I was kind of expecting, but the pass rush is lacking. I think adding Graham coming back to the fold is going to definitely help. But what's your thoughts on Phillips going to the Eagles?
Now, I already knew they were gonna get someone, um, because you know Howie, if he feels there's a need, he's gonna go. He's gonna go make that trade. The problem is this, right? The Eagles evaluated their team, and they felt like the defense needed help, right? So they went to trade for Jair. You mentioned Brandon Graham and now Jalen Phillips. The problem with that is now you're relying on 3 people. I would say 2, because Brandon Graham isn't as much as a need. He helps, but he's not really much as a need. Phillips and Jair, their positions are are needs for the Eagles. The problem is
Especially Jair, because
that's what I'm saying. But the
Dory
problem
Jackson.
is
Oh God.
all 3 are just a shell of themselves. So just to rely on them, only injuries are gonna mess them up, right? So as long as
Right.
they don't have injuries on the defensive side of the ball, um, I think they are still the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl. But I think it was a good trade. But I don't know if it 100% makes them champions.
That's some good points, man. Um, I'm still shaky with them. We already know it's very hard to repeat in the NFL, especially. It hasn't been done since the Patriots, so it's not a small task. It takes a lot, and no team is the same after a season. Like every team comes back different. That's what makes the beauty of sports. Is every team is different and unique in their own way. The O line has to be a little bit better. The OC has to be a lot better, which he has shown flashes last couple weeks with the play calling. I think they'll be just fine, but I said it in the offseason, and of course you agree. The Rams is going to be a lot to be said about them. I think they're going to have a lot to do in this playoffs and potentially coming out the NFC. And a team that could potentially be another team, like you mentioned, is the Seahawks. But don't sleep on my Baker team, man. The Buccaneers, if they can get healthy, they could do some damage as well. But obviously, Mike Evans probably could come back playoff time. But, the rust, the age, could that be an issue?
I think it's more so the defense. I just don't think Tampa has the better defense than those teams: Eagles, Rams, and Seahawks. Seahawks, they neck and neck.
Yeah.
You feel me? I could go either way, but Tampa's offense, like you said, when it's healthy, can outduel any of those offenses.
And I was going to say, based on what I've seen this season, if Tampa goes into a shootout with any of those teams, maybe outside of Stafford, I like Baker's chances pulling that game out and winning, whether it's on the road or at home. And a team that we cannot forget, of course, because they just got too much firepower on offense, it's kind of in the similar similarities as Tampa, but they've been there before as far as these last few years, is, of course, Detroit. Can't forget about Detroit. So, I don't know, man. Any given Sunday, a lot can happen. Moving on from the trade talks, we're going to position ourselves with the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, of course, has a foot injury. He's going to miss at least 4 to 8 weeks, so about 2 months potentially of the season. And Jacoby Brissett has been named the starting quarterback, and the offense looks really good. Head coach Gannon talked about if Jacoby Brissett starting over Kyler Murray is based on just health or performance, and his quote was, "Truthfully, both factors." And he likes what he sees with the offense and what they're doing right now. So, with that being said, what is your thoughts on this whole quarterback situation in Arizona? And is this the last time we're going to see Kyler Murray in a Cardinals uniform? And yes, Stafford is the most slept on quarterback. I will have to agree with that. I slept on him a few times. I'm not going to
lie. Yeah, I hate to say it, but yeah, the time has came, and I think we said it earlier in the season, probably even months before the season, actually, when we said there's quarterbacks on their last leg, pretty much. Not really their last leg, but their leash is pretty much there. And we mentioned Justin Fields, and you brought up Kyler Murray. And yeah, unfortunately, it hasn't been clicking. And I think at least, I know Arizona's not going to make the playoffs, but let's say Arizona finishes 8-9 wins. Kyler Murray doesn't play. It's just Brissett. But the offensive numbers look good. Yeah, I feel like they will trade Kyler Murray for whatever they can get, and they will find themselves a new quarterback, because I believe that John Gannon's pretty much going to realize if the offense can do that with Brissett, grab myself another quarterback, and you can either potentially keep Brissett and draft a rookie if you really want to, or trade for a quarterback or free agency.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to pull up this mock draft one more time, and Fernando's agrees with us. Kyler is going to be out of there. And I'm going to pull this up one more time, because out of those 3 quarterbacks, Simpson, Moore, Mendoza, or even someone that we don't see on this board that people are snoozing on, who do you think could be the best fit in this offense for the Gannon and the Cardinals, assuming Gannon will be there next season?
I think they go Mendoza if
Mendoza.
they get it. But the problem with that is I do believe Mendoza is going to be the first quarterback out of this class.
Mm.
Um, just from what I've seen so far, but things can change. Um, but
I
I
mean,
don't
yeah,
know.
he's
I
a
think
typical
I think
size
you.
quarterback.
But at that point, I don't even think you. Do you draft a QB or you go grab you one? Because I feel like they feel like they've wasted years with Kyler, right? That's been 6 years, so pretty much they've been rebuilding for 6 years. Well, minus like the year they made the playoffs, and
And
the
they
other
got
year
crushed
and
by
it
the
was like
Rams.
decent. Um, Pretty much all the other years been rebuilding. I don't think you can afford to go rebuild again.
So
It's not easy, you know. Like Kyle Murray doesn't suck. It's not easy to come play quarterback for the Cardinals, and not anyone's gonna come in. Yeah, they do have McBride and Marv, but like I don't think anyone can just come in and play quarterback for
and
the Cardinals and make them a contender.
let's also face it, it is hard to be a quarterback at his size and because he is uber talented and he's shown that he can win games in this league at his size regardless. But there's certain things that he's just gonna have some little bit of limitations on just due to his size. Like it's not his fault. A Mendoza who is someone that's 6'5", he can see over the middle, see over the line, has a better vision as far as just being able to see it because he's his height. Now, is he more talented and better quarterback than Kyler? No, I would never say that. But it's some things that he might be able to do slightly better because he's just a bigger person. And that's nothing to be shunned about, but I just think they should go another route. A team that I would like to see Kyler potentially go to. Maybe I don't want to see him in Pittsburgh, but I know they're going to need a quarterback because I don't think Aaron's going to play after this season, depending on especially how they end the season. That matters. But it's tough, man, because I can see a Pittsburgh, but maybe New Orleans because I don't think New Orleans is. They need a lot in New Orleans. So, and Spencer Rattler is not a bad quarterback, but they need a lot more. So that's probably the other team I could think of off the top of my head, unless he goes to the Jets. So, which I think he'd be better in the Jets than what we got from Justin Fields. So, we have another comment from Loco. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you showing up. Would you agree that the Eagles are the ultimate underdogs in the NFL, considering they beat both Brady and Mahomes in the Super Bowl? Not at
If
all.
Yeah, if you want to say recency bias, yeah,
Not at all, because
but
I
there's
believe
been greater underdogs. I will say the Nick Foles Super Bowl's kind of an underdog story.
maybe
Um, but I feel like the KC one was more so everyone was just
they
sick
were
and
the better
tired
team.
of just seeing KC.
Yeah, I had
So
KC winning. I remember we was on the show, but it was mostly because I wanted to see a three-peat. Well, yeah, so I spoke earlier. Yeah, the last team to do back to back was the Chiefs. Um, I wanted to see something that never happened before, and that was a three-peat. So that's the reason why I really went with the Chiefs. It wasn't now if I wasn't being biased and looking at team for team, the Eagles should have done what they did to them. So now I wouldn't consider them underdogs at all. The Giants against Brady, the second go round, that's an underdog team, in my opinion. The first go round, you can say that too, considering how dominant the Pats were that season.
Yeah, I think both years.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. The Giants won these Super Bowls being a wild card teams. So they were already an underdog to their own conference, their own division, and in the Super Bowl. So I
And
think that automatically gives you the underdog.
well, also that first, especially the first year, I think the Giants was a top 10, 12 defense that year. And
Well,
anytime,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
each time that Eli went and won the Super Bowl, the defense was at least top 10 to 12. And I, you can make the argument you said both, so I'm not saying this to you particular, but if someone was to choose and wanted to choose the first Giants team that beat the undefeated Pats is the bigger underdog, you can make that case considering the Patriots averaged 33 points that season and only got held in check for 17 or 13 points, I believe. So you can take that as you will as well. Moving right along, because we are done with these mock drafts, we're going to get into last week and give our predictions for tonight's game before we wrap up the show in just a bit. Now, Todd, who will be your biggest loser from week 9 in the NFL, and then your biggest winner?
I got two biggest losers.
Let's hear it.
First one, the biggest loser, in my opinion, was the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn. The game was over.
There was no
With
need to
6
have.
minutes left in the second half, in the second quarter.
Yeah, there was no
No
need to
one
have
thought y'all
David
was
out there.
coming back, right? We can see to make the playoffs in the NFC right now at this rate, you probably need 11 games. Well, 11 wins. So you keep your quarterback in a blowout. Now he dislocates.
His elbow, I believe it was.
Yep. Dislocates his elbow. And now he's going to sit out multiple games.
He might be
Season's
done for
done.
the season. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't even bring him back.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised because the season's done.
Because you're already 3-6 on the season. There's no need to bring him back. Get
If
a high
Jaden
draft pick.
Daniels was starting every game, the rest of the season, I would still have hopes for the Commanders. But now you got him injured because you kept him in the game for nothing. Run and play when we're when we're in the red zone. Down what, 28?
That play was disgusting to see. Even seeing the screen, the picture of it was just like it's nuts. It's a hard watch. I wouldn't encourage anyone to see that, man. But yeah, that was inexcusable.
They're the biggest loser for me because their season's over. And
that defense is oh god, bro.
But can I really blame the defense when the
No.
when the offense can't do anything? 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. The defense is playing pretty much 80% of the game each and every week.
Yeah, that time is. Let me look at that now because the time of possession in that game must have been real interesting. Let me see. Go to that game. I'm not gonna lie. I started watching that game. Once I watched the first half, and I seen 21 zip, I cut it off. I'm like, there's nothing else to watch. Especially how they scored the last two touchdowns. How they scored it, I was oh my god. You had JSN open on the right side all day to throw that ball. He
could have threw it to anyone.
He could have just said you. He could have done anything he wanted. It was just like there's no effort being put forth. This team, it's almost as if they're just saying F the season, and they're like losing hope with the coach. And I don't believe that is the case per se, but it just was horrible to see. horrible, like inexcusable to have that put that type of effort out there as a team like that who was in the NFC Championship game a year before. Again, I said earlier, each team is not the same each year. When you have some of the core players who was there last season that can help keep that mold, that was inexcusable. But you also can't overcome too many injuries, man. Unfortunately, and Sam Darnold was 21 or 24.
Yeah.
Like it couldn't get no better than that. Who else would be another loser for you or winner?
This is not a biggest loser, but they were the loser of the week. They're the Detroit Lions.
Oh yeah,
Because now that if you look at the standings, this division is close, super close from
closer
top to
than
bottom.
closer than most of us thought.
All right, so these games matter,
The
and
Bears can win this division.
as someone who always sees themselves as the big brother in the division, now you don't lose to the Vikings how you lost to the Vikings. And why aren't you using Jahmyr Gibbs, who single-handedly won you the week before? Doesn't make sense, and that's the problem. You can go out coach Dan Campbell. That's the problem with the Lions. Because I believe, and I think other coaches see this as well. I believe other coaches know that if they can put the pressure on Dan Campbell and the Lions, you'll easily win.
He's gonna make him. He's going
He's
to
gonna
give you
make
that
a
one
mistake.
opportunity. Yep.
Yep.
It's almost like it's like the Brett Favre effect and Jordan Love at this point. We'll just wait. He gonna throw us one. He gonna throw us a bone, and eventually he's got to catch it. So, yeah, I agree, and especially considering that the team is not as talented on defense like there was last year before all the injuries. You have a little bit less room for error. So, I agree. Who was some of your winners?
My winners last week. Yeah, I was spending time on the losers. I mean, we already talked about Seattle. Seattle's a big winner, I would say, because we keep waiting for Sam Darnold to do Sam Darnold things, and he's not doing it. He's going crazy. So as long as they could keep doing that, that's fine. Biggest winner in my opinion, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Mm.
You not only just beat the Colts, you tormented Daniel Jones in the Colts.
Gave a
This is
blueprint.
the first time we've seen Daniel Jones look like New York Daniel Jones. So we gotta
Looking like
see.
Danny Dimes.
So we gotta see if it's a scheme thing or we gotta see what's going on. But for the Steelers, what makes you the biggest winners is that was the best win you can have. Because if you lost that game, you're sitting with 4 losses, with Baltimore breathing down your neck. You still
And
have to play them twice.
that was the best I've seen that defense play all season.
6 turnovers.
From start to finish.
6 turnovers. And first of all, Jalen Ramsey at safety.
Cheat code. It's a cheat code.
Yeah.
Because he ain't someone that's afraid to tackle.
He's
So
not.
you can put him in the box. And then the beautiful thing about it, they also added Kyle Duggar.
Exactly.
Who's also not afraid to tackle. And you can put him in the box. So now you can have everybody else. Porter, Big Play Slay, you have all them boys hunting. While TJ and them boys get after it. So like, oh yeah, not it. Yeah, defense should be much better than what it's been up until this last game against the Colts.
But seeing that the Colts may probably have the best record or one of the best records in the AFC, it's beneficial for the Steelers to have that head to head because when it comes to playoff time, that tiebreaker gonna matter. So all the Steelers have to do is win their division and keep doing what they're doing. And I mean, no one wants to go travel to Pittsburgh and go play a playoff game. I'll tell you that.
That's a fact. Well, it's just the Ravens. They don't mind being there as a divisional rival, but all points was very valid. Son of a loco, with a super chat. I'm gonna put it back on the screen. As a Michigan fan, I don't think JJ McCarthy is ready for the NFL yet, mostly because of his constant injuries. Also, to clarify, my name is pronounced Son of a loco. I'll say we talked about this plenty of times, Ty. I wasn't too high on JJ coming out of Michigan. When you looked at it, he didn't have to do too much, and that's not a bad thing. But there's a lot of things where you compare him to other quarterbacks that had to do more and was able to show more of their ability. He didn't really necessarily have to do that because he had everything around him. The run game was perfect. The O-line was great. The weapons outside was really good. The defense was phenomenal. So he didn't have to do too much. But I just wasn't too high on him. And we had this conversation last year. And it looked like even if JJ is still good, we got to give him more time. He is only played, 4 or 3 games. He's 22. But I said they should have kept Darnold and have JJ sit it another year, especially the way Darnold went and balled for Minnesota last season, despite how they lost. Yes, you could blame it on Darnold because he's the quarterback. But if you go back and watch that game, if the O-line can't block, your quarterback ain't gonna do nothing either. So I think he's ready to be in the league. I don't think he's ready to be a day one starter just yet. But he could prove us wrong because he still got plenty of time to play and he's young. So
I'm glad you brought that up because if you look at his 2 wins this season, identical stats, less than 150 passing yards, but so much, like, I think a rushing TD in both games and at least 2 passing TDs. So that's the stat line of somebody who doesn't have to do too much
he's
to
just a
win
baller.
games.
He just knows how to go out there and just play football.
Yeah.
And get
The
wins.
problem is now if he's in a shootout with these Tampas, the Seattles, might not end well.
And I think that's where some of the learning curve is going to come for him. Learning how to read the defenses, processing. Because I think he has the arm talent. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but he has enough arm to where he can succeed in this league, especially with KOC as the head coach and serving that offensive scheme up. I just think he needs more reps in time. Same thing I thought about with Anthony Richardson, who was way less ready than JJ was, but he has far more upside and talent. But you could see the difference in, I know 6'7", right? But you can see the difference in the level of people surrounding that quarterback and the development around them. So, but moving on, my winners and losers of week 9. I'm going to start with some winners, and that is going to be the Chicago Bears, who won in a shootout, albeit against a putrid park car defense in the Cincinnati Bengals. You still had to go out there and handle business, and you win the game. You're now 5-3 until tied, what you talked about earlier. Now the NFC North is just a little bit more tight, where any of these teams can come out and win this division. You still might get 2 teams to make the playoffs, but a lot is going to be desired to make that happen. And it's crazy to me because I drafted Coastal Loveland in my paid league, and he did absolutely nothing. And I had to get rid of him. And now he's looking like the tight end that we all thought he could have been. So hopefully that can be consistent. I don't expect him to put up 100+ receiving yards and 2 tubs each week because he ain't playing the Bengals defense every week. But I like that he's finally getting incorporated into the offense. So that's my first biggest winner, the Bears. My biggest loser comes from the same game, the Bengals. To to lose a game like that, not only once, but twice, is the most funniest shit. It's almost cowboy like the way they lose these last two games against the Bengals. I mean, the Bears and the Jets. You heard Chase. Just gotta get one fucking stop, bro. One. You heard Chase Brown in the locker room after the game. They are 3-6 on the season, and they should have easily been 5-4. If they could just get a stop on defense in those two games, man. So, Ty, I know you were about to say something when I mentioned the Bengals, so I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Nah, I was just gonna laugh. They, I don't know, that was sad. If you bet on that game, you had to have a heart attack. Honestly, either way, where you bet.
It's crazy. Now, another winner, because since you gave two, I'm gonna do two. They're not a winner, but I want to give them a shout out. The Panthers, man, pulled out a tough win against the Packers. They are now 5-4 on the season.
They are winners,
and they got a better record than the Falcons. And man, Rico Dowd's looking like RB1 over there. So shout out to the Panthers, man. But my next winner is, of course, the Patriots. Because you was able to show that you can win a game despite Drake May turning the ball over the amount of times he has. Now, albeit it took another Atlanta Falcons kicker to mess something up simple. Who would have thought? It's almost consistent at this point every year when it comes to kicking, special teams kicking in the Falcons. But nonetheless, man, Drake May did not play his best ball. Shout out to Pop Douglas, man, showed up and showed out. But it was an ugly game, and you found the way to win. And that, I think that's very important considering a lot of people is now bolstering them up to make an AFC Championship game. Although I know I said I believe they can make it depending on who they're seeded against. But there's people legit saying they will make it. And I'm just like, take it easy. I don't know if that's the case right now, man. They still got a lot of growing pains to get through, but I'm not surprised that they're 7. Let me say I'm not surprised they're 7-2. I'm not surprised they're at 7 wins because I had them winning 10 games. So, but someone else on another platform commented back at me because I said that Drake May on the Commanders wouldn't. Basically, I was saying Drake May couldn't do what he's doing now on the Commanders, and someone commented on my comment saying, "Do you still believe that?" I said, "Yes, you damn right, I do," because a lot of other variables that go into that. So, next, my last and final loser of Week 9 is going to be none other than the Chiefs, who, if the season was to start, the playoffs would start today, they will not be in the playoffs. That defense, man, that defense is terrible. They get no pressure. James Cook ran all over that defense. And we know Cook's been good all year for the most part when he gets the touches that he deserves. But, man, the way I seen Chris Jones get bullied on one of those plays in that game, I mean, buddy was just moving him like 6-5 yards. I ain't never seen someone move Chris Jones like that. I don't know, man. It seems like Chris Jones' mental is not there, where he's not mentally there on the game like he normally is this season. And that has to do with a lot of family stuff that he's dealt with outside. So, again, condolences to Chris Jones and his loved ones. But something just doesn't seem right, man. And Mahomes, he only could do so much. There's only so much an NFL quarterback can do for a team. Based on what you've seen from that game against Buffalo, defense and offense, you should have gave up that 3rd-round pick for Brees. That's all I'm going to say with that. So,
I gotta disagree. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm not worried.
well, as long as you got 15, I wouldn't be worried. But that's a game you can't lose, considering how tight the seating is in the AFC.
No, they'll be
and the
fine.
AFC West.
pull up the rest of their schedule, and I'm gonna show you why they'll be fine. Because we gotta forget, we gotta stop forgetting that Patrick Mahomes always loses to Josh Allen in the regular season.
Oh no, that's a fact.
It's fine. So I already knew the fact that the game was even that close, where it pretty much came down to the final drive. I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
I'm
think
not
they'll.
worried about the Chiefs. I think they make
I
the playoffs still. I just think for at least for week 9, they're going to be one of my losers. Basically, just because the way you lost, the score seems is close, but if you watch that game, it shouldn't have been that close. This game should not have been a 28-21 game. It should have been a lot more to a lot less. But that's also credit to the magic of 15. But here's the rest of the schedule, as you asked me to pull up.
So, is it far fetched to say they could win the next 4?
It's not far fetched, but I think they split
You think they go 2-2?
or 3-1. Yeah, I think they're gonna either lose to Denver or Indianapolis for sure.
Well, they got Indy in KC, so I'm not taking the Colts because it doesn't matter.
I hear you.
Denver's the tough one, but depending on what Denver does tonight, we can see. I feel like Denver's too inconsistent, even though I took them to win the division, and I'm happy they're 7-2. But they're too inconsistent, and we
A
know
lot.
how the Chiefs get with their division opponents. They
Mhm.
they put belt to ass. So
Now, I will say this. I know the Denver 7-2 and this game's at Denver, and they are inconsistent. A lot has to do with the quarterback play with that, particularly because the defense has been pretty damn consistent most of the season. The reason why I will lean towards Denver losing in these first 4 games opposed to the Colts is because the Surtain injury. That's my biggest reason. Now, I still think they split either one. So if they happen to win at Denver, then on Christmas, I think I would probably take Denver, assuming everything else is intact with both teams. The reason why I wouldn't poo-poo the Colts going to Arrowhead, they can't stop the run. And you're going against the best running back in the league this season, statistically, with that O-line. I think Jonathan Taylor has a field day on that DM defense. Now, if they wake up, smell some smelling salt, and they happen to silently stop the run, then yeah, they probably should win that game. But I think Spagnuolo's going to cook up some blitzes to get pressure at Daniel Jones and kind of get them off the field to where they can't capitalize on their mistakes. So I expect it to be a close game, but I'll probably lean Colts in a 3 to 6 point game. Now, Dallas and Houston, I think we can agree they're going to win those games more than likely. Oh, wait, hold on. Dallas is a Thanksgiving game? Oh, yeah, they're definitely winning that. They're definitely winning that game.
well, you don't trust Dak Prescott on Thanksgiving, CeeDee Lamb on Thanksgiving
Oh, wait, hold on. No, they do got Quentin Williams in the middle. Who knows?
in Dallas.
He might be rejuvenated. He might want to get one of them turkey legs on Thanksgiving. Who knows now? So that might be they probably could go 2-2 in the next. They should beat Houston, even though Houston's defense is not bad. They should beat Houston. But then if you look at the next 4, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders, we can book the Titans at least. Raiders, maybe depending on what their record is. They might set
Nah, they're gonna play up to week 18
just because they're already 5-4. I agree
because
with that.
week 17 definitely is gonna decide the division, depending where the Chargers finish at.
Mm-hmm.
Then week 18, you're probably fighting for that wild card spot. So yeah, you're gonna definitely need that. So yeah, I'll give them the Raiders and the Titans. I think they get back on the Chargers because
So
I don't if Harbaugh sweeps Andy Reid, I mean,
The Chiefs ain't making the playoffs.
yeah. I mean, now you hit panic because one, if you're splitting or getting swept by Denver and getting swept by the Chargers, it's over.
So you got them these first 4 games, just to clarify. You had them going 3-1.
I'll give them 3-1. They can potentially win 4 straight. It all matters about that Denver game. I feel like they lose that Denver game, they win in the next 3. They win that Denver game, they can potentially keep
Win
winning,
out
but that Thanksgiving game, it's a little tricky sometimes
on a short week too.
on a short week. So going from the Colts to Dallas, so yeah, 3-1 definitely.
Okay, so just for those watching, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, let us know your thoughts on the episode. So you say 3-1, so that means they will be 8-5 going into the Chargers game. Where do you see them going in the last 4?
So yeah, I'm giving them Vegas and Tennessee, so that puts them at 10 wins.
10.
I still think they get back from the Chargers.
So 11.
They're gonna be 11. They're gonna win 11 or 12 games. I know that.
So in other words,
10 being the lowest, but I mean 10 can get you in the playoffs in the AFC, but I don't know.
oh, hold on, I missed some comments. The notification didn't pop up. Let me see. Agree, more reps is the answer. That's referring to JJ McCarthy. And I'm from Chicago, so hopefully you guys are right that my Bears are on track for the future. Hopefully. And then, son of a loco, I think Alabama made the right choice to get rid of Milroe, considering the flops against Georgia and against the two against Michigan. Absolutely. I mean, I honestly, and I said this during the offseason, since we brought up Milroe, I thought we was going to see Milroe play this season because I wasn't sure what we was going to get from Sam Darnold. But the way Sam Darnold's playing, you could forget that shit. Milroe ain't sniffing the field unless they got nothing to play for in week 18. So, but yeah, we have them going around 10 being the floor, 12 being the ceiling for wins in the regular season for the Chiefs, which is interesting because I think I had them winning 13, maybe 14 games this year. I have to double check the list, but
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that had them win. I think I had them in Denver winning 11. Because
so
I
that,
know it's the Chiefs, bro. They got to give you that story in the regular season. That's why if you're anyone listen to this, if you're out there thinking the Chiefs is not making the playoffs, something's wrong with you.
I just pulled up the list. I'm going to just share that real quick before we wrap up the show. So let me see.
Because there would not be a day Patrick Mahomes misses a play.
Yeah, so you had them 12-5. Peso had them 11-6. I had them at 14-3. So clearly that ain't happening. I would already lost my money. I'm a game behind. I had Broncos. We all had the Broncos at least 10 to 12 wins. So
I was being generous to the Raiders. You clearly saw what the Raiders were supposed to be. So
yeah. And then Browns missing games made it worse. So
we was all generous with the Browns. Oh, because we were expecting Shador.
at some point, Shador was supposed to play. Yeah. I think Shador will play at some point, hopefully.
Yeah,
And then
two nights on the Bengals. Oh my!
I was nice on the. Well, no, never mind. You gave him an extra win, but we both was a little drunk on that Julio when it comes to them Titans, because clearly the Titans ain't sniffing 7 to 6 wins. I was way off on the. Colts.
I mean, It was because I think I was expecting Daniel Jones to do good. That was my issue. So
I was
expecting the Colts to be a bad team.
I wasn't even expecting him to start. I thought AR was going to start. So let's go back to the AFC. We all had the Bills.
I was being too nice to my Jet fans.
I mean, but everybody was. Hold on. Clips had the Jets winning 10 games.
And he only had the Pats winning 6.
I seen this. I was like, no way you got the Pats winning 6 games, bro. Me and Pats only had them at 10.
I'm the only one that had
But,
the Dolphins.
I mean, look at the Jets.
Winning 5.
I mean, the Dolphins.
Yeah, y'all bugging. I told you the Dolphins was going to be one of the worst teams. I had them at 5.
So
and that's probably what they end with. So.
Look at the NFC. Look at the NFC, man. I told y'all boys about Tampa. I told y'all. I mean, you had 11-6.
Panthers is
Panthers at 11-6 is crazy.
Panthers are coming back, man.
I mean, it's not far off still. They're 5-4. So,
well, Peso had the Falcons 11-6, and they already 3-6. So
the Bucks 8-9 was just like, no, bro. They're the best team in this division. Looking at our picks for the West, we all had the Rams. You were sniffing that stuff like I was with the Chiefs. 14-3.
Nah. What are you talking about? They're 6-2, bro.
They're not going 14-3.
Yo, they only dropped one more game.
I got you down by one more game. I got at least 13-4.
Nah. 14-3.
Nah, let me explain this. Because remember we did this. I said the Cardinals, I had them that high because it was do or die for Kyler. That was my main premises. Now, Seattle, I was wrong on. But I was 50-50 with Seattle because I didn't know I was going to get from Darnold. Which is why from 3 to 4, it's all one game differences. Hey, man. If they didn't have so many quarterback injuries.
This division could go any way.
Yes.
I'm the only one that didn't have the Bears in last place, though.
Yeah, and they very well could be in last place still. I mean, the Vikings, I wasn't expecting all the quarterback shenanigans. But then the NFC East, we had
too nice on the Commanders.
I don't think we were. I think we was pretty spot on. I think it had.
You were.
I mean, yeah, I had them at 9.
I had them going back to back 12-5.
Yeah, I didn't see that in the picture because even last season, they had a great run. I got lucky though because there was a lot of one position games that they were not supposed to win, like the Hail Mary. But
I just didn't expect the Eagles to run away with the division that easy again. So yeah. I felt like they needed some competition. I wasn't giving the Cowboys more than 8 wins. So
yeah, I think the Commanders could have been around that 9 ballpark if they weren't so banged up. So, but that is the list for what we did in the off season going into the regular season. Now, because it's almost time, we're gonna predict tonight's game with the Broncos and the Raiders on Amazon Prime Video. I don't think I gotta ask the question who we got winning. I should just ask about how much. So how much
Raiders? Geno Smith legacy game. 3 touchdowns.
I know you don't
250 passing yards.
You put money on that? How much you put on that? How much you put on that? Let me know.
Just because I said it, I'm gonna go place that bet in a couple minutes. But nah, I got the Broncos, but I expect it to be closer than people think. I think people expect them to just blow out the Raiders. I'm not gonna go that far. Don't be surprised if we see Tyler Lockett putting up 60 yards because they got no receivers. Or don't be surprised if Brock Bowers hits 200 yards. So,
matter of fact, I think I got him in for this week too, in our league, which I would love for Brock Bowers to do that. He's in. I got him and Laporta in. I might have to drop Terry McLaurin because he ain't really been doing nothing this year. But anyway, right before we end the show, because we talked about the standings, I wanted to put it on the screen so everyone that's watching can get a sense or glimpse of what the playoffs would be like if it was to start this weekend. So the AFC, the Colts will be the number 1 seed because they have the tiebreak over New England. and Denver based on win percentage in conference game. So in conference play. New England will be the second seed because they have the tiebreaker over Denver based on the victory margin, strength of victory, which that's what that means. So then Denver will be the third seed. Pittsburgh is the fourth. Buffalo at 5. Chargers at 6. And the last team in the playoffs will be the Jaguars. So essentially, we will be hosting – the Pats will host the game against the Jags. Broncos against the Chargers. And Pittsburgh will be hosting a game against the Bills. Whew. That 4-5 matchup might be electric. I'm not going to lie to you. For wild card weekend, if this was the playoff seeding matchups.
Yeah, that Steelers Bills game by far is the best game.
On paper, I would say for sure. I wouldn't snooze on that Denver Charger game though.
Well, that's a division game, so it could go either way. But Justin Herbert playoffs, he got bad luck, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was one game. I think he only played one game, I believe, and that was not Jags. But who you got, man? Jags against New England.
The Jaguars, of course. I'll take if that was to happen. I'll probably. I wouldn't
be mad at that pick.
It's because Jaguars, their defense isn't that good, in my opinion.
If only they knew how to get.
And I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, in my opinion. Like I said, they have a better record than they actually are as a team. So it might look good right now, but I don't expect them to make the playoffs. They'll probably be the first team out of the playoffs who just miss it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the Colts pretty much do a complete flip and lose the division. But yeah, I would probably go New England. But we all know if that's most likely Kansas City, and I'm taking Kansas City over the Patriots.
Let's see. Chargers, Broncos.
I'll probably take the Broncos.
Steelers, Bills.
I'll take the Bills.
So I will take the Pats. I'm gonna go Chargers against Denver because I think the inconsistencies all season of Bo Nix is gonna cost them this game. And I'm gonna go Steelers against the Bills. The defense for Buffalo is just not good. And with this being in Pittsburgh and with Aaron Rodgers being able to just be productive enough, I think they can win that game. So now flipping over to the NFC. Do I have to? Oh no, word. I just gotta scroll down. We got Eagles at 6-2. They'll have the tiebreak over Seattle and Tampa based on the win percentage. Tampa will have the second seed because they'll have the tiebreak over Seattle based on the head-to-head win percentages. I'm not sure what that means. I don't think they played each other, did they? But either or, Seattle will win the tiebreaker over the Rams based on win percentages in the division. So we'll have Tampa playing the Detroit Lions. So right now that means the Vikings, Cowboys. Well, we knew the Cowboys, but the Bears and the Bears and Panthers will be out of the playoffs if the season was to start today. Tampa against Detroit. Who you got? That's a rematch game from a few years ago.
Right now, I'm assuming everyone's healthy. I'll go Tampa.
And real quick, Detroit has the win percentage over Chicago based on head-to-head matchup. So that's why they will get the playoff spot, not Chicago. I will probably go Detroit this game with everyone healthy. Just because.
Well, I was saying if Tampa was healthy. If everyone's healthy, I'm going Detroit.
I will give the edge to Detroit slightly just because I think they have too much firepower for that defense. But I think that's going to be the toughest game of the week if that was the matchup. Next, we have Seattle against San Fran in the division matchup. I'm not going to lie. I really want to pick San Fran because I think San Fran's a team that's going to get healthy at the right time on the offensive side of the ball.
They're going to miss the playoffs.
And I think with Robert Saleh being able to find ways to get that defense to be ready despite the injuries, I think he can make something shake. But I'm still going to go Seattle in this game. And of course, the 4-5 matchup. This is the match. It's always one matchup in the NFC that always happens that I don't want to see because I like both teams, especially someone who picked both of these teams.
Well, it ain't gonna happen because the Rams win in the division anyways.
Well, hypothetically, if they was going on the road to Green Bay, why are you going to pick the Rams? Because I ain't going to ask you who you got. Cause I know you're picking the Rams, but
Nah, that would probably scare me the most because they could never go to Green Bay and win. I don't think they've won in Green Bay since probably 2016 or 2017. So yeah, I mean that's probably their worst matchup. Because I can see them. I'd rather see them against if they were to just be a wild card and miss the division. I'd rather see them go to Tampa. I'd rather see them go to Seattle. I don't want to see them go to Philly or Green Bay.
Fair enough. And last but not least, I will be picking the Rams to win that game because I have the Rams going to the Super Bowl. Let me backtrack. I had them at least get to the NFC Championship game. So by default, I'll have to pick them based on me being consistent. And for tonight's game, I got the Broncos winning 24-10, maybe I really want to say 31-14-ish. And I wasn't too far off last Thursday.
34-14?
31-14-ish. Yeah, I think this is going to be after.
Nah, I'm telling you, bro. Gino
I'm assuming Bo Nix is coming to play this week, not being on some bullshit. I think they should handle them comfortably without Surtain. And that's even though that's a divisional matchup. Now, I was pretty close with my numbers last Thursday when the Dolphins played the Ravens. I wasn't too far off there, so we'll see tonight. Anything else you want to add before we close out?
Nah, that's pretty much it.
And those watching, thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Who's your biggest winners and losers of Week 9 and the trade deadline, of course. Who you got winning tonight between the Raiders and the Broncos. And stay tuned for Sunday. We will be back with the Grade A Wrestling Podcast. This weekend, we're going to be talking about the greatest wrestling games ever made. We're going to rank them. So stay tuned for that. And, of course, we're going to talk about some other things that's been going on in the wrestling world. So, hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Stay sharp, stay elite, stay Grade A, man. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Grade A.